Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Date today is the 7th of June, year of our Lord 2024. Welcome to yet another edition of the Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Inkle, a.k.a. Motown Noah. Got a big show for you guys today, taping part one here before the first game of the finals. Got a very jam-packed schedule. As soon as these games are over, Jacob, a.k.a. Rusty Bucket's going to be sending me his recap of all these games. Going to be editing late into these nights, so I wanted to get this first part out of the way, and then the back half of this will be a game one finals breakdown. I don't know how we're going to do it. You guys know how things go on this show, so we'll see when we get there. If that's all you're here for, please use the timestamps to your advantage. But before we get to all of that, ladies and gentlemen, we will get somewhere in just a few minutes, but before we get where I want to go, I need to qualify everything that I'm going to say with a bunch of shit. Okay? We on this program almost costume as journalists, right? When in reality, what we're doing is we're almost documenting the journalists themselves, right? So the documenteers become the documented here at the Coping Hour, where we cover all of the biggest stories and we cover them from all angles. Now, anytime that I do this, one thing is always true. I don't know anything. I very seldom know things, especially as it pertains to my favorite basketball team. And I never want anybody to think that I know more than them, because the odds are that I might not. That being said, something came across my desk the other day. And some of you may have seen that I ran like I had a bunch of folders with like loose stacks of paper. I'm running around corners, paper flying all over the place. My glasses are all disheveled. I'm breaking lenses. My hair's all over the place. I'm trying to let anybody know who will listen to me. I think JJ Redick is coming. I think JJ Redick might be the next head coach of the Detroit Pistons. And hold on and stay with me. Okay? Nick, what do you know? I need to set the stage first. Again, use the timestamps to your advantage, but if you're interested in the setup here, stay with me. So the other day, I had this like real-life Nicolas Cage and Knowing moment. Like real-life The Big Short moment, okay? Where I'm sitting here and I'm texting my brother and we're going through, wait a minute, it makes a lot of sense that JJ's going to come here. Now, I did put out a video about this the other day as like, oh my God, people need to know this, that this is about to happen. And you can, I beg of you and implore you to go watch that video. It's only 7 minutes long. If you do not have the time, I will give you the Spark Notes right here. So we hypothesized that if you look at Trajan Langdon, where he went to school, he went to Duke. JJ Redick also went to Duke. The biggest thing here is that JJ Redick's first agent in the NBA. Who was it? I'll give you a second. It's Arn Tellem. If you've been around for a while, you know that it is well documented on this show that Arn Tellem is secretly pulling all of the strings. If you look at all of the dudes that we've added, I mean, top to bottom, it's not just on the court, it's personnel, it's on the bench, it's everywhere. Look at if Arn Tellem had a previous relationship with them. The numbers are fucking shocking. Okay? Nick, the Pistons already have a head coach. Monty Williams already has a job. I'm not so fucking sure that he does. By the way, I'm just not so sure that he does. The Pistons still won't hold that press conference for Trajan Langdon. Still nothing on that front. I'm telling you, it's because something is going on behind the scenes. They're trying to get their ducks in a row. Because the next time that you hear from Tom Gores and like whoever is in this front office, whatever, they want to let you know exactly what's going on. And that the boogeymen of yesteryear who just led you to the worst season that you've ever had, they're gone. Monty Williams and Troy Weaver, they're gone. They're gone. And we have this new actionable plan that we're going to put in place. I'm telling you right now that it's going to start with JJ Redick. So here's what I heard. I put out that JJ Redick video. Okay, I don't hear much on the Pistons front these days, honestly, that you guys don't hear at the same time that I do. I don't learn that much these days. But I got a text. And the text read that internally, Monty Williams has been out since March. They decided that. They're like, whatever the timeline ends up being here, whoever we hire, if Troy stays, whatever, Monty Williams is not going to be the coach. Apparently, internally, there are people who believe that he was trying to get fired this year. I don't know if I believe that. That seems too like Reddit pilled. I don't think that's real. But okay, so Monty Williams is out. So who would the Pistons be looking at for their head coach? There are 3 names that I was told. Chris Quinn, who by all accounts, within the next 365 days will probably have a head coaching job in the NBA. Definitely one of those sneaky up next guys to get a head coaching job in the league. Okay, cool. Cool. Who's next? James Borrego. Interesting because he just wasn't good with the last young team that he coached. Okay, who is the third name? It's JJ Redick. Apparently, that's who they would want to look at. Okay, so what did we hear the day after I put out that video? Yeah, the Detroit Pistons are currently evaluating Monty Williams' job. How do you think that one's going to end? Do you think they're going to get to the end of that evaluation period and think, nah, man, we fucking, let's let bygones be bygones and let's just kickstart this thing, but let's roll it back with the same coach. I doubt that shit very much, to be honest with you. I'm pressing X as fast as I can. I don't believe it, right? And you're thinking, oh, okay, well, JJ's going to take the Lakers job anyways. Apparently, motherfucking not. Because as of this morning, the rug has been pulled out from underneath all of us, not just around America, but around the globe. Woj coming out of the fucking rafters to say all that shit you've been hearing from Stephen A. Smith, all that bullshit from that Shams Charania character, it's lies. Dan Hurley has been the Lakers contingency plan from the jump this entire time. Okay, so Dan Hurley is being targeted as the Lakers head coach. Where does this put JJ Redick? Where does it put him? Not that many coaching vacancies out there. We argued on this program that the risk reward for JJ taking that Lakers job, it was a death sentence. It was never in a million years, in no Doctor Strange, I'm going through all the universes, there is not one universe where that shit worked out. None of them. And they all went as poorly as they could go, right? People say, well, why would he come to Detroit? Because what are the stakes? What are the stakes if you're JJ Redick? Oh, it doesn't go well and he's out in 2.5 years. He's out in 3 years. That's fine. That's not on JJ. That was just an unfixable mess. Trajan Langdon couldn't put the pieces around him. People would fucking dance circles around that argument, man. It'd be free. The other part of this that I'm thinking, honestly, if you're Detroit, why the fuck not? By all accounts, you see what social media is like when JJ Redick touches a microphone. People eat that shit up. They do. We don't on this show, right? Because we're over it, but people do. People like JJ Redick. They come out of the woodworks for that dude. He's like the media darling right now. JJ Redick having a moment on television and in audio, by the way. Is it the worst look for your franchise to get a bump? Because now all eyes are on Detroit. This isn't just the local, hey, the Pistons, we really like this JJ Redick guy. It's not just our fan base. Everybody likes this guy. Everybody consumes what JJ Redick does. It's impossible not to in 2024 if you consume basketball media in any sense, through any medium. JJ Redick is everywhere. I think it sets a precedent if you're Detroit. I'm not telling you that your takeaway from everything that I've said here should be that Monty Williams is getting fired and JJ Redick is going to be the head coach. I'm just saying between when I made that video that was like, hey, keep an eye on this, and today, dominoes are falling. And they're falling in that direction, I would say. So what's the precedent here? So JJ Redick is your head coach. I don't know what's going to happen if I'm right about this. This is not a victory lap podcast, so don't let me be fucking right about this. I will end the show. The show will end. If we call this, ladies and gentlemen, and again, by the sounds of it, we'll see. About a month from now, some of you will come back to this. Oh, look how wrong you were. God, I hope that does happen. I sure hope it does. What else did I want to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen? Matter of fact, I went to pull up an email, copingoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email will be available in the description wherever it is that you listen to the show. I was looking at an email that I wanted to read first, and then on the way to doing that, we got an email sort of recently, and I don't have a ton on this, but I did think it's important, and it's sort of about the Pistons. So email comes into us from James. James, welcome to the show. Subject line, 2017 Warriors versus 2004 Pistons. Nick, I'm going to cut straight to the chase. This 2017 Warriors, 2004 Pistons talk isn't real, right? Because I saw people talking about it on Facebook as though the Pistons were favored, and I was like, what? And I was like, huh. We're talking about an all-time defense and a bad offense against an all-time offense with a very good defense, as though it's even a remotely close matchup. Yeah, see, and I'm sure the rest of this is very well nuanced, James. I didn't see much about this other than it was a conversation, and I believe, because as soon as I saw a YouTube short about it, scrolled. Nope, not interested in this. I believe this came from Draymond. Did it not? Damn. You know, first they came for Draymond on NBA, on TNT, inside the NBA. I said nothing. And then Draymond came for Rudy Gobert. I said nothing. And then by the time Draymond Green came for the 2004 Detroit Pistons, there was nobody left to defend me. Damn. That's where we're at. I see people get mad all the time about, oh, man, it's always, why is people always talking about the 2017 Warriors, blah, blah, blah. How about that 2016 team that won 73 games? Folks, that 17 Warriors versus anybody question is our generation's 96 Bulls, 86 Celtics for the generation prior, right? Well, that's technically the same one. You know what I mean, though. Everyone's going to be compared to that team. Well, not compared to that team, but any good team that we come up with. Yeah, it is crazy that they actually won more games the year before, but like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, you know, in their prime. When you really think about it, you're like, what the fuck? That was something we lived through. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it again. I know you guys don't like when I do this. God damn, do I miss them. I do. Because when was the last, and this isn't fair of me to say, actually. I was going to say, when was the last time that, you know, you turned on a game and teams are just putting up like 130 at will? First of all, I would be curious to see how many times they even put up like 120. I'd be interested to know that. What would be a failure? What would you guys think without looking it up? The 2017 Warriors, first year with Kevin Durant and Golden State. That's a good question. They're going to be compared to everybody, man, because not because I missed the shit out of them, but because, like, oh, that's what I was going to say. Sorry. I looked outside and I saw a spider on, this is going to sound really dumb. I'm just walking you through why I just had a weird buckle in my flow, in my rhythm there. I looked right outside the window and there was a spider crawling up the thing. And then my brain went to, damn, it's annoying that we were supposed to have window cleaning the other day and then it got delayed. Because if that did happen, then that spider wouldn't be there. That was all happening in like microseconds, and that's why I forgot what I wanted to say there. I guess what I was going to say is it's not fair of me to say, oh, nobody scores like the Golden State Warriors. You know, how many times have they put up 120 points a game? But it's like, yeah, dog, that's just the NBA in 2024, though. You can turn on any team, and they might. There's a better than non-zero chance that they're going to score 120 points. I guess not post All-Star break. We did kind of run into that. There was a little bit of a Adam Silver cracking down on shit, and then because that was a product of what of Karl Anthony Towns and Luka and Joel Embiid putting up a combined like 200 points in 3 separate games, and so the response was like, hey, we need to start calling more stuff. But then what happened? Malachi Flynn had motherfucking 50 points, and that's something that we had to as Pistons fans we had to reconcile with. Malachi Flynn 50 points. You know, imagine that as a trivia question someday. That's going to suck. Malachi Flynn. This Detroit Piston, despite the worst season that they've ever played, fucking literally ever, dating back to Fort Wayne, by the way, this Piston had a 50-point game in the 2024 season. You're going to think, damn, that couldn't have been Ivy. No, it couldn't have been Ivy because we just ended up trading him, so it couldn't have been him. I'm just going to say it had to have been Cade Cunningham. You're going to be wrong. It's fucking Malachi Flynn. The answer to that future trivia question that you will hear someday, it's Malachi Flynn had 50 points for Detroit. In 10 years when nobody has, I don't need to keep talking about this, but in 10 years when nobody's had 50 for the Pistons because we fucking suck, the last Piston to score 50 points in a game. You're going to think, was that the Sadiq thing? Was it Blake? No, that was Sadiq Bey. Final answer, Sadiq Bey. No. It's Malachi Flynn. It's fucking Malachi Flynn. Last Piston to have 50 points. James, thank you for the email. Another one that I wanted to read, and shout out to this guy in a very major way. I'll actually just let the email do the talking. First sentence, just a beautiful opener. Email comes into us from Kurt. Kurt, welcome to the show. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description wherever you listen to the show. Subject line, Mark Cuban, governor of Texas? and random jerseys. I don't know if we'll read the second question, but I do want to read the first one. Kurt, welcome to the show. Hey, Nick. My mom and I were listening to last Friday's episode, and she had a counter to your Mark Cuban for president take. Quote, Mark Cuban, governor of Texas, unquote. She said she thinks it'd make more sense for him to start his political career with a gubernatorial run against Abbott in 2026 instead of a presidential campaign for 2028. Do you think this makes sense, and does it pass the politics version of your insert name, NBA champion test? This is an amazing email, and for so many different levels here. So first, let me explain the email for those of you who did not listen to the segment that they're referring to. We basically broke down all of the reasons that Mark Cuban is 100% going to run for president in 2028. And so Kurt's mom here, who he was listening to the show with in the car, I guess not in the car. I guess just listening to it. It'd be funny. You guys are huddled around like an iPad or something, watching the Coping Hour. Shout out to Mama Kurt. Thank you for the contribution here, because on the surface, I think this is a genius. You're right on the surface, right? Let's start to peel back some layers, though. Okay. If I'm Mark Cuban, and by the time it's 2028, right? I mean, I don't want to say he's no spring chicken, but it's like, do you really want to do the governor thing in 2026, and then fuck around for 4 years? And then another 4 years after that, and then have to wait 2 more years to actually run for president? That would be how that would work, right? So you get elected governor, and okay, and then you're just killing. That's so much time. And the other problem is if you spend time being like Texas is just such a tough state to be the governor of. Because if you spend even 4 years being the governor, that's 4 years of shit that people will use against you to not vote for you because, oh, well, now we see how we see how Mark Cuban handled the border. Now we see how Mark Cuban handled, God forbid, some like humanitarian disaster. There's another hurricane in the Gulf and, some southern Texas city fucking floods again. Like, how does Mark Cuban handle that? And if you just circumvent that, because in 2024 you can't, right? Like, so what you're mentioning here, this is more Reagan era, right? This is the Reagan path, the Reagan playbook is like, do the governor thing and then use that, leverage that, get to a fucking a higher position of power, become the president. Or like we said on the show, Mark Cuban following the Donald Trump playbook, which is where you just skip that. And how many presidential candidates do you see who the novelty of them to people is the unknown when we haven't seen them lead previously, right? There's a third party candidate right now. We've talked about him a handful of times on this show, not in an endearing way, but RFK. What do people like about him? He's just like a rogue guy. He's kind of a loose cannon, kind of doing his own thing. And, he just really wants to shake things up. It's this element of unknown, right? Of the unknown, rather. So I think it sounds right, because he would kill Greg Abbott. Honestly, he would kill him. I think he would. But I think you talk about, the return on investment. If you're like JJ Redick taking the Lakers job, there's just none. It's like mostly risk and almost zero reward. I'd say it's the same thing if you're Mark Cuban and you become the governor of Texas, because, that's how it's just again, man, it's such a tough state. Like if he wanted to take over like Vermont or some shit, I mean, he could, right? Probably could. So I do think it just makes more sense for him to do the presidential thing. But Mama Kurt, I sincerely appreciate the contribution here. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to do it for the first part of the show. We got the NBA Finals coming up. We did a Finals preview on Monday. We said our brains were saying Boston, but our heart wants Dallas. Heart says Dallas, but brain is like, probably Boston. The more I've sat on it, couple hours from tip-off, I think like Dallas in 5 sounds really nice, but I'm also like, relax, settle down a little bit there, partner. But I really want Dallas, man. I really want Dallas. All right, folks, let's get to the finals. 5 minutes left in Game 1. Boston up 25 points over the Dallas Mavericks. Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Thank God I had the presence of mind to sit up here every time we talk about the finals. Folks, I think Boston's going to win in 5. Thank God I've been the guy who's been saying that, right? I think Boston's going to take this series. I've been saying it the whole time. What the hell? What the hell? What just happened? Big record scratch freeze frame moment here at the Coping Hour. I'm serious. This isn't canned. Like, I'm genuinely watching this game. I'm like, I just got to press record now because I'm watching the Celtics team. Who the fuck is this? Who is this? Who are these players? We remember these moments differently. Game 1 of the NBA Finals. The Finals is a series, but Game 1 really setting the tone. We remember these moments differently in the grand scheme of things in the greater pantheon of NBA narratives as it pertains to the NBA Finals. And for Kristaps Porzingis to come out here fresh off of an injury and dominate this game. Imagine 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Hey, Kristaps Porzingis one day is going to swing not just a playoff series, but a fucking NBA Finals series. Kristaps Porzingis is going to be responsible for that. We said on this show, what do they need out of him? 2.5 good games? If they can get 2.5 good games, this shit is over in 4. There's one, right? And that's putting it lightly. I gotta put a hand up, to be honest with you. We've poked fun at the Boston Celtics home crowd, in during this playoff run. We had a Boston Celtic fan chime in and say, oh man, ESPN, they turn down the crowd noise. Maybe they do, and I was just harsh on that guy for no reason. Maybe that is a real thing. Holy shit, did they set the tone tonight. Wow, what an atmosphere that was. Electric. TD Garden was electric early in that game. Boston goes out to like an 8-0 run. And the crowd is just into it. Dallas kind of fights back a little bit, and then it was at the end of the first quarter that Porzingis went on a little run by himself on like 2 or 3 possessions. Crowd is just going bananas out of the first quarter. And man, but also it kind of just, it did kind of prove me right a little bit that Boston fans just were waiting for this the whole time. And I was like, I don't doubt that they don't care about the team, or I don't doubt that they care about the team. Tripping myself up here for no reason over some semantics. Like, I get it, but I just thought like the moment it just has to be the finals for the Celtics because it's just such a storied franchise. But it's funny when you think about it, and this isn't to shit on the Celtics at all, but just as a mental exercise, it's fun to think about this. We always talk about, man, banner 18 for the Celtics. When's that going to happen? And it's just funny when you think about, okay, so when was 17? Oh, that was 2018. Wow, 16 years ago. Wow, for a championship that is as storied as Boston's is. 16 years since they last won a championship. How fucking far back do you have to go before that? What, 22 years? 1986? Was that the last one before that? Okay, so what would that have been? Number 16? So they won 15 championships in like how many years? Like, huh? And you're like, yeah, Nick, fucking Bill Russell. Ever heard of the guy? I'm just saying. Whoa, I didn't even notice they were wearing the Bill Walton patches. Whoa, that's awesome. Shout out to Bill Walton. Rest in peace, King. This has been an awesome atmosphere to watch. Like, seriously, I've really enjoyed it. But again, I just think it's because they're like, yeah, we finally got to the thing that we've been waiting for this entire time. I did have a few notes very quickly as it pertains to the broadcast. I think the main one that I had, really the only one, stop making Mike Breen read off fucking 2K locker codes. Be fucking for real. Don't make him do that. He sounds insane. When he talks about getting a 99 overall player in a My Team pack with a Galaxy Magnus Opum the Diamond 99. Don't make Mike Breen say all that bullshit. That's like if you were like Lee Corso, like say the alphabet backwards. Like, oh my God, can you imagine what would come out of that man's mouth? So just not very nice. This isn't an overreaction program. That's not really what we do here. We don't do overreactions. But if we did, and I was thinking about game 1 and like how do we overreact to this, right? Okay, so I'm the editor at the New York Post. And is the headline like, to hell with the book depository, check the grassy knoll because we got multiple shooters. They just showed a graphic on the broadcast that Boston is had 7 players with multiple 3-pointers in a game, which is an NBA Finals record. By the way, to end the first quarter, they were up by 17, which is the largest first quarter margin of like score margin in game 1 of the NBA Finals ever in history. So they're breaking. We've got finals records left and right. Here's the thing: we're talking about the Celtics. Oh wow! Oh my God, the Celtics! Wow, how wrong were we about the Celtics? We don't owe an apology to the Celtics, by the way. People's brains just fucking stopped working and forgot what we spent 7 months saying. We said You know what team is probably going to like moonwalk to the NBA Finals because the talent disparity in the East is just such that like there's just no way they're going to have any trouble. Boston. We were saying that literally all year. Literally all year. At the very like they're just getting to the final. Like they're just. And then what happens? Boston goes to the finals. Loses like 2 games on the way. Executes every single night to the highest degree. The only games that they lost were because the shooting disparities were such that it was like, it's just, some teams just have those games. Like, it just happens, right? But Boston delivers seemingly every single night in these playoffs. And what do people do? They forget that we spent the entire season saying that they were going to fucking brutalize everybody in the East. Anybody that was in front of them. Didn't matter who it was. But, we could do the whole, what if the Knicks were healthy, blah, blah. Honestly, dog, are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? Because I'm not so sure. I think this is just who the Celtics have been, right? People just turned their brains off a little bit. And then they actually got here, and we were supposed to say, fuck them. No, they did exactly what we thought that they were going to do. And then in game 1, people are talking about, did Boston, they didn't face enough adversity. Are they going to be ready for the moment? Getting punched in the mouth by the best in the West, the Dallas Mavericks. Taking down all these juggernauts on their way. Doesn't seem like that matters. Doesn't seem like that matters if you're Boston. And you know what else doesn't matter about Boston? I was texting with someone about this during the game. It's just fucking, come on, man. I'm looking at like contracts, and I'm thinking like, dude, we're not that far removed from people saying that the Jaylen Brown contract is like one of the worst that has ever been handed out, and that the Celtics were basically held hostage. And what the fuck were they supposed to do, right? And they didn't want to break up the Jays, and so they get in bed with this Jaylen contract. All right, man. Well, when it comes time for him to sign that Supermax, Kristaps Porzingis actually on an awesome contract, 2 years, $60 million. I mean, that's just great value for 2 years, dude. Everybody wins here. Literally everybody wins here. And so you say all that, and it's like, yeah, so Boston's gonna be in the 7th apron over the tax. Okay, cool. Not to sound like Rangs culture, right? Not to really show my age. But I'm looking at this score. I'm looking at Jason Kidd fucking surrender cobering on the fucking sideline with 4 minutes left in an NBA Finals game. They're down 20. To a team that is like, how far into the tax? I don't care about that at all. You think Celtics fans are like going to lose sleep tonight because they're like, oh my fucking God, how are we supposed to pay this team? I don't know, but you are. And if there's any reason to go into the tax, at least it worked, right? At least it worked. What else did I notice from this game? Hey, the whole Kyrie game. Yeah, did any of us... wow, I got Svi Mihailuk checking into the game. The pride of Ukraine. Shout out to Svi logging NBA Finals minutes. That's fucking crazy, man. That's crazy. Look at that. How about that Sam Hauser... He was sitting in the corner and he caught the ball like mid-stroke. Like he caught the pause, but he caught the ball while he was already in his motion. Holy shit! And JJ highlighted it on the broadcast. I think Mike even caught it in real time, which was when they did spend like 15 seconds on it. It's great use of the broadcast time is highlighting something like that from a player of Sam Hauser's like caliber. Most people turning on this game, they don't know who he is. You know what I mean? He's not, nobody knows who he is. So to highlight the little nuances of the game from somebody who you just, I don't know, like showing, I don't really know where I'm going with this. It made sense when I started to say it. I say everything that I'm saying about, Boston kicking Dallas's ass. It's like, well, what could you look at? I mean, I was going to say something about the Kyrie game. We'll circle back to that in some way. I'm already talking about something else. And then I actually forgot what the fuck I was going to say. Let me look back at my notes really quick, ladies and gentlemen, because I accidentally just like ADHD'd myself. Oh, dude, here was something that I noticed. I wrote this down. So 3 minutes left in the first half. Dallas only had 31 points. Did you hear that? 3 minutes left in the half. Dallas was at 31 points. At that same moment, Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis were combined for 28 points. Dallas, again, had 31. Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis combined for 28. At that same time, Jaylen Brown had 3 steals. Dallas as a team had 4. Jaylen Brown ripping Luka on. Oh my God, that was just picking his pie. Was disgusting. Going down, yamming on the other end. Again, at that same moment, Drew Holiday had 5 assists. Dallas as a team had 4. It was like everywhere. You're watching the first half, and you're like, did Jason Tatum need to play in this game? Like, did he have to? The dude could have been like a sideline reporter. And I know that's not true. There were a good handful of shots that he hit where you were like, oh, you talk about the tough bucket. Yeah, man, he had a few of those, and he was impacting the game. He had like 3 assists. He didn't even in the first couple minutes of the game. So, sure, yeah, he did need to play in this game. But you guys know what I mean. Like, they were getting it from everybody. It was awesome. Oh, and then this, I don't think this note matters. They showed there's a little promo for like Bad Boys. Okay, so it's Will Smith and Martin Lawrence on my TV, and it finally clicked for the first time. I was like, "Whoa, this is like Will Smith's like real." I think he's done like a movie or two since the Oscars slapped, but this is his first time like really, really back in the spotlight in a major commercial way. And I was like, "You just are going with the same look that you had when you slapped Chris Rock? I don't know, maybe just not the goatee, maybe just do the full beard, do something else that you don't look exactly the same as when you slapped Chris Rock, because now we're just immediately gonna be like, wow, remember when you slapped Chris Rock? Does anybody else still think about that? Ball was in the Celtics court tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Very literally. They played in Boston, Massachusetts. But I don't think enough can be said about, just to circle back a little bit, I don't think, you could really overstate how important it is. Like when Boston in game 1 was playing down to Indiana, and you're going the whole time, you're like, what the fuck is about to happen? Without Jaylen Brown's heroics getting a double bang from Mike Breen, Boston was about to go down a game on their home floor to, what was Indiana, the 5 or the 6 seed? What the what? Hell no. And so, through whatever rigmarole they took to get there, they still got there. And in a game like this, when really Dallas is the one playing with house money, and I just love this moment for them. It just feels like such a bam. Get fucked, man. I could say I was rooting for Dallas, and to be honest, folks, I still am. But I'm truly I'm impressed as a fan. I wasn't expecting to see this team perform on this level. And Jason Tatum's been here. He's been in this moment. Luka, hey man, it's his finals debut. And how fun was that? There were a few moments in this game where you were just like, Luka magic on the big stage for the first time. Like, we're really seeing it. It's the first time we've ever seen Luka in the finals. We knew eventually he would get here, even if it, not to do the whole like, well, it's guys, it's over. Like, maybe next year, Luka. Nope, we're not doing that. I have a point on that in just a second. But just to see Luka out there. What has he got? 30 points. There's 12 for 26. And I didn't see what else they showed, but Luka had 30 tonight. And maybe that's one of my major takeaways here is I don't think this is over. I really don't feel that way. I think Boston just got that game out of the way immediately. They just got it out of the way in game 1. Because how many threes did Dallas miss? With like 8 minutes left in the game, they were like 5 for 23, somewhere in that ballpark. Boston was shooting at around like 15 for 40, so roughly they finished around there. Okay, there's a disparity there. I see something there. There was that sequence early in the game, too, where Lively he walked, and then Kyrie on the next possession walked and was like, no, the fuck I didn't. He definitely did. That was definitely a walk. Tried to do a little spin move. Court seemed a little slippery, or he just doesn't have traction on those shoes. Get some spit on it, Kyrie. Both were definitely walks, and that's what sucked is it was in that moment where Dallas, you kind of felt like, oh my God, are they about to make it a game? Like, is this really about to happen? And then it was those back-to-back turnovers. Damn. And then Lively picked up a 5th foul. Man, it was just all going wrong. I don't feel like it's over, though. I really don't. Even if, on Monday's show, when we come back and game 2 happens, even if Boston goes up 2-0, and it's the same shit, by the way, even if it's the same shit, when they go back to Dallas, I'm just going to be shocked. I think is what my takeaway here is despite the punch in the mouth that the Celtics just threw, I think that Dallas is perfectly capable of doing the exact same shit. But then you just think about it, I guess, a little more critically. I'm just watching a little highlight package they threw together, and I'm like, yeah, but they have Jaylen Brown. and Derek White and Drew Holiday and Jason Tatum and by the way, now Kristaps Porzingis, ever motherfucking heard of him. Al Horford had a moment or two in this game. What they can throw at you on defense, like okay, all right. I don't like where I'm going with this, but I'm gonna say it. All right. Would Minnesota have been the better matchup? There's the overreaction. Because if you do the man-on-man shit, and you talk about, well, they throw Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday, and throw anybody at you. Minnesota was the same. Who are you saying that about with Dallas? Derek Lively, go, patrol within 5 feet of the rim. Cool. On it, boss. Daniel Gafford, go do some, Thanasis Antetokounmpo shit out there. Cool. You got it, King. Josh Green, go guard Derek White. Okay. I guess we plugged that hole. And then you're like, well, okay. Kyrie, sure. Kyrie is yep, sure. You're like, okay. Minnesota. And I don't even, it's not that I don't believe what I'm saying. It's that I don't really like that I'm even spending time talking about it because it's like, what the fuck, who cares? Would I really rather be watching Kyle Anderson do his horse shit in this series? Not that honestly kind of grounded me a little bit. No, honestly, I don't think that I did. That's it, folks. I mean, I'll do one more quick skim of my notes. I had way more fun watching this game than I thought that I would. Yeah, dog, that's it. I nailed my notes. Wow, didn't even have to look at them that much. What's something else that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit here? Get you guys out of here a little bit early. Again, sorry, I'm just on such a crazy schedule for the next month. I'm a little confused because have you noticed that Netflix has been treated like champions of the industry because of their live programming pivot that they've done? People are treating it like, oh my God, it's this revolutionary. Netflix has live events. Okay. We've talked about it a little bit on this show. So when does Netflix do the live news thing? That's my question. That feels like the next step. Feels like the next logical step. Because you're like, oh, okay. So you guys are doing Tom Brady roasts and Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Whoa. Big time live events. Must see, monoculture shit. Honestly. Whoa. And then they're also we're going to do the WWE. Also they're doing the NFL, right? Whoa. Okay. So you're getting in bed with all of these sports leagues too. Whoa. So then when is the news thing going to happen? Because if you really think about it, all of Netflix's competitors have a live cable option. They all have X amount of news networks. And so the question becomes one of two things. One, does Netflix do an algorithm-based news program? But with Netflix, I just feel like that would get so weird because we also don't know any of their numbers. That's the whole thing about Netflix that makes them fucking shady is that we know nothing about how they do anything. And so you're like, okay, but I'm just wondering if the temptation of Netflix wanting to do so somebody's logging on right now and they want to watch Black Mirror or Breaking Bad or something. But what if the first thing they had to navigate in our UI was watch coverage, live coverage from the Trump hush money trial? How many people are going to divert what they were going to do? But I'll check this out for 5 minutes. Check this out for 10 minutes. Oh, and then I get tied up with this thing. I leave it on in the background. Well, then it's just on. Huh. I just wonder when that's going to happen. And then, what are the implications of that, I think, is what I've had a hard time thinking about. What about this is bad? What about this is bad? Because if they just do, if they just do, what all of the other streaming giants do, and they just have, well, I guess they can't just do, NBC, so, no, they couldn't do CBS because fucking Paramount, dude, they're all just going to fold into each other eventually anyways. We've talked about it on this show. They're going to do the whole thing where they recreate cable, which they are already in the process of doing. Shout out to Comcast. Reverse shout out to them. Fuck them. Fuck you, Comcast. Hey, is this a good time? I don't know how to do this. I need companies to start asking me if I want to do ad reads. At some point, I'm going to need to fucking make money off of this show. And I realized something. I have a burner email that I used for live streams that I used to do on this channel. And I recently checked it on accident because I was trying to log into the email for this show, copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available in the description wherever you're listening to this show. And fucking companies keep reaching out to me on my burner email that I've not checked in like 2 years. And dog, I lost out on like 3 Mint Mobile opportunities. They just kept following up. And by the time I saw it in real time, so about 6 months later, long enough later that like I'm fucked regardless. Well, Ryan Reynolds had already sold his shares in Mint Mobile. So I was like, well, I don't want to be involved in that company anyways. And then it turns out he didn't. He's fucking still their dude. And then I think they ended up emailing again. I just can't catch a fucking break. So because I don't run mid-rolls on YouTube and then Spotify, I don't, make shit on there. I think I'm eligible to. Maybe I need to actually look into that. But this rev split on Spotify, oh my God, it's so bad. But eventually I'm going to need to. So ad reads I think would be funny. If like Hooters wants to reach out, I'll do Hooters. They not opened up, but we discovered recently right near our house there's a Hooters, but it's an express Hooters. You know what I'm talking about? You go to like a Pizza Hut, Taco Bell Express. You know what I'm talking about? What the fuck? A Hooters Express? Dog, on the sign, it just says Hoots. But it's just a Hooters. It's just a Hooter Express. I go, you think if you go in there, it's just a bunch of like regular ass dudes like working, not even in any sort of uniform. They just kind of work there. Hoots. We talked about it on the last show, which maybe I need to address some allegations. In the last episode, we talked about the first time that I ever went to Hooters when I was like 10 years old. It was also the last time I ever went to Hooters. I did go to one like Hooters adjacent. I was taken there probably when I was like 14, called the Tilted Kilt. Basically the same thing, but just more like Irish, Scottish type of vibe. The fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was talking about the first time I went to Hooters, and how if I walked into a Hooters in 2024, I would fucking explode and cry. I don't want to be there. I'm so sorry that I'm here. A couple of you guys said that I'm scared of the hose. It didn't seem. I'm not. Let me clarify my position. Although I don't think I can. I think part of it is you're just right. To be honest with you, I don't want to fucking be in there. I don't want to be in there. Occupy there. I don't want to bother anybody. Sorry for being here. Sorry, but I do. But here's the thing: is but I want the merch. Like I want all of it. I don't know what the fuck am I talking about, man. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, let's get you out of here. Let's make sure everybody has a fantastic weekend. Apologize for running like 15 minutes short today, but I know you guys are. You guys show me a lot of grace and are very empathetic. I've sneaky been on a roll with uploading. I actually, I always love to say, this is not a Victory Lap podcast, but I always do Victory Laps. This is not a show where I like to really show myself any grace, or pat myself on the back or anything like that. But I have been uploading a lot recently, like sneaky, a decent amount. And like the last week, like 4 or 5 different videos. Oh, wow. Impressed. You best believe if anything happens on the JJ Redick front, we will be here reporting it immediately. We will be not quite boots on the ground, but digitally we will have boots on the ground wherever the news is breaking. And I guess, dog, maybe we broke some news in this show, to be honest with you. I don't know. I heard what I heard. I just relayed that information to you guys. If we threw some shit at the wall and if none of it sticks, that's okay. It's okay. I don't, But what if it did? And I think it might. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I love you all very much. Very, 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 very deeply. If you are listening to this on Spotify, sure, rate 5 stars. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe. Nice little comment for the old algorithm. I guess not having a heart attack to end today's show, which is nice. None of you really gave me any well wishes for that one. Instead, all of you just thought it was funny. So I will catch you guys in the next one.
Beautiful. Primary control. Beautiful. Primary control. Beautiful. Primary control.